Contagion is relevant in these times because we are living through an extraordinary moment in most of our lives. And it is therefore an attempt to help make meaning of the suffering, but also the other things that are happening around us. Like, for example, the developments in thinking about health, in thinking about infection, in thinking about how human life is organized or reorganized around animal life on this planet.
I think there's a lot of online events, but Contagion really is showcasing many different types of things, from panel discussions to films to exhibit tours to lectures and workshops. And I think that's really important to have that diversity and of exposure, but on a theme.
We're living in the midst of the greatest pandemic that we have seen in over 100 years. And I think it is, things like this are absolutely essential to help people understand what it is that they are experiencing. Not just the science or the biomedical aspects of this, but also the wider cultural, social, the historical context.
It gives me an insight to other people's perspectives, other people's ideas, a different notion of everything.
So yeah, that feeling of learning something you didn't even expect to learn is really important. Normally you'd get that just by sort of wandering out onto the streets and seeing an exhibit or just sort of doing something new, but we don't get to run into this stuff by chance because we're all stuck inside. So things like these exhibits fulfill that function, that sort of curiosity, that wanting to be surprised or find out new things.
But I think there's also a bigger question, which is how do museums respond in a socially distanced world, in a pandemic world, and how do you create collections, how do you engage people with critical ideas when we can't come together physically? And I think Science Gallery Bengaluru is really doing something that is novel and innovative, taking risks and doing something that's really worthwhile in terms of how the exhibition is structured, how it's curated, and how visitors are invited to engage with the work.
From my perspective, just the sheer amount of different people that I've interacted with because of the exhibition is a huge positive.
And in this pandemic, we've seen, as people have said, that there's the epidemic of coronavirus, but there is also the epidemic of misinformation. And that is why good, curated, science-based exhibitions in particular are so very important during a pandemic.
I think it also brought some of the leading scientists to talk as simply as they could about their science and what to expect in these very difficult times.
I think it has given a lot of people who are locked down, a lot of people who have so many disturbing thoughts in their heads, it has given them a space to articulate their fears, their anxieties, and I think know that they're not alone in worrying about these things.
I think bridging the gap between art and science is something very important, especially in Indian society, and Science Gallery is doing a fantastic job at that, and I would very much like to attend more events.
Above all, I really like the fact that students were involved, because in the end, one of the usefulness of such an event is, I think, to motivate high schoolers, undergraduate and graduate students to take up this topic for future research.
The interesting part now is that with the pandemic, even though I'm based in Mumbai, you can engage on similar sessions, right? While of course it does not come anywhere close to the feeling of physically going to a museum, but the entire Contagion series has been engaging on so many different dimensions of the science around the pandemics.
Whether online or not, I think the quality, the scale, the depth, comprehensiveness, timeliness of this program, I find it hard to choose another one at any museum or equivalent institution anywhere in the world. So I think this effort is going to go down as really a program of record.
Contagion explored the transmission of not just diseases, but also behaviors and emotions through our interdisciplinary exhibits,
and connected programming. We created experimental formats of engaging with research in the digital space and were able to reach entirely new audiences as a result. Join our journey as we bring you more exciting experiences at the edge of science and culture.